Hey there, future ID rock stars! Are you ready to step up your Articulate Storyline courses? Well, today we're taking a look at the secrets of interactivity that will elevate your projects to a whole new level. Whether you're a beginner or looking to sharpen your skills, this is your chance to unlock powerful tools to make your courses more engaging. So grab your computer and let's dive in. Your learners will thank you later. In this first video, we'll cover three key objectives. First, we'll define variables and conditions. Then, we'll explore the different types of variables you can use. And finally, I'll walk you through how to implement these concepts into your Articulate Storyline projects. Before we get into the specifics of variables and conditions, let's review a few key features in Storyline, starting with triggers. Hey there, now I've set up this simple course with a few objects on the screen to help us get familiar with adding triggers. So here's our triggers panel, where you can see Storyline's built-in triggers for navigation are already set up. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a trigger to this start button. So I'm going to select it, go over to triggers, and create a new trigger. What we want to do is jump to the next slide when the user clicks button 1. Looks like they already have it set in, but you can always change it by clicking on any of these to change the action, where it goes next slide, when. All of these that are underlined, you can change it to whatever you would like. So I do want it to jump to the next slide when the user clicks button 1. And then I'm going to make sure that it works. So I'm going to go ahead and preview the scene. So as I generate this preview, I can see if I click the start button, it does in fact go to the next screen. Now here on slide 2, we're going to go ahead and set up some navigation triggers. So I'm going to make the left arrow here. Right now it's called icon 2, but you can go ahead and change that whenever you want, but we're going to have that jump to slide to the previous slide when the user clicks on icon 2. I'm going to do the same thing with the right arrow, which is called icon 1. Set up a trigger. I'm going to jump to slide the next slide when the user clicks on icon 1. Now, let's add a little bit more interactivity, I'm going to set up this smiley face to review a new layer when clicked, which is a great way to show extra information without crowding the slide. So, clicked on the smiley face. I'm going to show layer hint when the user clicks on the smiley face. So I can go ahead and preview this again. I'm going to preview this scene just to make sure it works. I can go back to start on the first one and see if the left arrow works and the right arrow works. And I'll go back here and click on hint, and it did show a layer. So we've just reviewed some trigger basics, setting up actions for buttons, navigation arrows, and layers. Now that we have these foundations in place, let's see how we can take these actions even further using variables and conditions. Let's go ahead and start off with the question, what are variables? Well, variables are places where you can store data. You can think of them as boxes that hold information you'll want to use later on in your project. For example, I have bins at my home for Halloween decorations. I store everything in those bins until I'm ready to use them again. Now, just like I label my containers at home to know what's inside, we name variables to store and keep track of specific data, such as like a score or possibly a learner's name, so you can easily retrieve and use that information later. Now, what are conditions? A condition is a rule that determines whether a specific event has occurred. These are often framed as if, then, else statements. For example, if this happens, then that will happen, else something else will happen. Imagine a locked door that requires a key to open it. If you have the key, you can unlock the door. If you don't, you can't get through. Conditions work in a similar way. They control when an action occurs based on the value of a variable. For example, suppose a learner must explore multiple areas on a page. A condition can be set to allow access to the next section of the course only after each area has been visited. If all areas are not visited, the learner cannot move on. Conditions ensure that the right actions occur at the right times. Together, variables and conditions are essential for creating interactive and personalized experiences in Storyline. Think of it as creating a recipe. Variables are your ingredients, and conditions are the instructions. For instance, if you want to only show a message when a learner completes all sections, you can use a variable to track completion and a condition to show the message when the course is finished. With these, you'll have the tools to design dynamic courses and respond to your learners' actions. Now let's take a closer look at the types of variables you can use in Storyline. Each type helps answer a specific kind of question, like true-false. Variables ask a yes or no question, like has the user completed the task? They're great for tracking single states, like whether a button has been clicked or a quiz is finished. Number variables answer how many. They're useful for things like scores, progress bars, or tracking points across a course. Then there's text variables, where they can ask for a name or a short answer. For example, you could use a text variable to store and display the learner's name on the screen. Now that you have a basic understanding of the different types of variables and conditions, let's put them in action and articulate Storyline. You can download the project files I'm using and follow along as we go. To start, we're going to explore the true-false variable. This type of variable is ideal for tracking whether something has been completed. For example, true-false variables are commonly used to prevent learners from moving forward until they've listened to all narration or explored all content on a page. Here we'll explore a simple example. The user will need to select all the circles on the screen before they can move on to the next page. So I'm going to go over to the triggers panel and create a new variable. I'm going to call this circles selected, and I'm going to make this a true-false variable and have it be the default as false. Now we're going to have to create a trigger to make this become true. So I'm going to go to the action, adjust a variable, and I'm going to have circle selected changed to true, and I want this to happen when the state of all of the circles, blue, cyan, green, orange, purple, and red, that's 6, when they are changed to selected. To help me know when they're selected, as you can see on here, like on this purple circle, I did make it so it does highlight yellow. That way the user can keep track of which ones they've selected and which not. So I'm going to go ahead and use this variable in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to show a layer that says congratulations when the user clicks the submit button, but we only want it to happen if circles selected becomes true. So now that I have all of that in, I can go ahead and preview this slide to see if it actually works. So as you notice, if I press submit, nothing happens. I can even select a few of the circles and nothing happens. But if I select all 6 circles and press submit, then it does become true and it went to the congratulations screen. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about number variables. Number variables are great at keeping track of a score or the number of points a learner can get through a course. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable. I'm going to call this score, and I'm going to make this a number variable, and its default value is going to be 0. I'm going to press OK, and then I'm going to go ahead and make it so it changes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the variable I'm going to click on score, and I'm going to add 500 to the score when the user clicks on the submit button, because that way it'll lock it in and it won't do it early. Now, for this to happen, I need to make sure that certain objects are selected. So there are 6 numbers on here, so I'm going to create 6 first. So I want 18, since that is even, I want that to be visited. Then I'll go down to 22 and have that visited with all of the even numbers. Now, for the other numbers, I want them to be normal. So the odd numbers like 45, 79, and 83. Now, if this isn't all true, I want to subtract a value of 500 from the score. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show this score on different layers. So I created these layers ahead of time, congratulations, and oh no, better luck next time. So what I'm going to do is I had a 0 as a placeholder, but I'm going to change this to our variable. So to represent any variable, you just write the word in between 2 percent signs, like so. And as I click away, you can see that it has a little yellow square that will change based on what the value of the variable is. Now, since this is a positive thing, I'm going to go ahead and make it green, like so. And it'll pop up like that, as you can see. And now I'll do the same thing to the other slide, where I put the percent signs around the word score. And I'm going to make this one red, since that is more of a negative thing. Now I'm going to go back to the main slide, and I'm going to have to create a trigger that goes to one of those layers. So I'm going to show a layer. I'm going to do the congratulations layer. When the user clicks on the submit button, but I have to have some type of condition to show when it will happen. So if the score is equal to value 0, that's the preset. So we don't want it to equal 0. It's either going to be a positive or a negative number. So I'm just, to make it easier, I'm just going to say if it's greater than 0. But you can use any of those symbols depending on what you need it for. Now, if the score is greater than 0, it is going to show the congratulations layer. If it's not, it's going to go ahead and show, oh no, better luck next time. Now, there's no problem here that it showed this layer after this, but if you did have this above here, it might not work correctly. But I'll just keep it the way it is, just so you know in case you run into that problem. Now I'm going to preview this slide and see if it works. So I will select the even numbers, even, and press submit. Congratulations, you got 500 points. I can replay it again, see if a different combination, like so. Oh no, better luck next time. You lost 500 points. So that's just a little testing out with number variables, and next we'll go ahead and move into text variables. Now, text variables can make your storyline projects more interactive and personal. Text variables allow us to capture information from each learner, like their name, and display it within the course. So on this slide, we have a name tag. It says, hello, my name is, and what I want the learners to do is to type their name in this spot. So what I'm going to do is create a variable, a text variable, and I'm going to call it learner name. The text is already selected and there is no default value. Now, in our other variables, we use the triggers right here to create our trigger. Now, to create this trigger, we have to go up to the top where it says insert and add an input and put a data entry field in for the text. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and draw it out right here. I'm going to say type your first name. And since it's to the left, I'm going to go ahead and center it. That way it'll be centered for them as well. So now you can see under the triggers it says set text entry equal to the type value when text entry loses focus. So the first thing we need to change is this text entry. We need to go ahead and make it the learner name because that's the variable we created. And to show you when text entry loses focus, that means whenever you're typing in it and then you either move the mouse out of that box, that's when it's going to go ahead and lose focus, and it stores that new value of the variable. So now I need to go ahead and use this information with their name. So I created another layer that says a welcome message. It says, welcome person, let's get started. Well, person isn't that personable. Let's make it so it says person's name. So do you remember how to put in a variable? That's right, you have to have the percent signs and then spell out the name correctly. So make sure that you have percent signs on both sides of the variable. You can go back and there it is. So whenever we go ahead and get to this layer, it should have whatever they typed in on the main layer. Now we need to get to that layer, so I'm going to add another trigger. I'm going to say show layer. I'm going to say welcome message when the user clicks submit. Okay. So now let's go ahead and test it out. We're going to test out this slide and preview. I'm going to go ahead and type my first name. My name is David, but you could choose any name you want and press submit. And now it says, welcome David, let's get started. And just like that, you just use the text variable. Now that you know how to use variables and conditions, it's time for you to put these skills into action. I'll show you a preview of the fourth slide, and your task will be to recreate it on your own. While it doesn't need to be an exact match, be sure to apply each of the skills we covered today. Let's see how you do. Alright, so here's slide 4. You're going to go ahead and replicate this the best that you can. So let's first look to see what it says. How well do you know your fruits and vegetables? Type your first name here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and type David and put next. Now it says, hey David, click on all the fruits and vegetables to learn their names. Well, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to click next. Oh wait, that doesn't work. I guess I do need to click on all the fruits and vegetables. So there they are. And now I can go ahead and press next, and it goes to the next slide. For this one it says select all the fruit and you'll get 500 points and win. But if you don't get all of them or choose a vegetable, you'll lose. Well, let's see, the fruits are banana, strawberry, grapes, and apple. And submit. Final score 500. Great job, David. You win. Now I'm going to go ahead and try this again and see if I get a different result. Alright, this time I'm going to go ahead and call myself Bob. Click next. I'm going to click on all the fruits and vegetables. And click next. And this time let's see, there's banana, strawberries, grapes. Maybe I think broccoli was a fruit. Maybe my parents told me that. And I'll click submit. Final score, -500. Sorry, Bob, you lose. Alright, so that is just a little walkthrough. I want you to replicate it the best you can. Good luck on that. Great job in this video. We covered some essential skills for working with variables and conditions in Articulate Storyline. We defined variables and conditions, looked at different variable types, and saw step by step how to use them to control interactions in your projects. Start incorporating these techniques in your own projects to add depth, personalization, and control. And remember, you're not alone. If you need more inspiration, tips, or examples, head over to Articulate eLearning Heroes Community. It's a fantastic resource and plenty of experts ready to help you along the way. Thanks for watching, and happy creating.